I, Tamusha Chakravarti, welcome you once again to our last session of today on outcome-based teaching to talk about skill and curriculum gap in higher education and role of national education policy. We have an esteemed and a great academician with us today. On behalf of entire Om Sterling Global University fraternity, I welcome Dr. Arvind Sharma ji, Associate Professor and Head of the Department from School of Earth and Environmental Sciences, Gangadhar Meher University, Sambalpur, with us. Sir, we are overwhelmed to have you in this session, and I must include that Sir has more than 15 years of teaching in research and administrative experience. His broad research areas include geomatics, water resource, and environmental engineering. He has 75 research publications to his credit with a total JCR impact factor of 19.5 and Google Age index of 12. Dr. Arvind Sharma served at many different academic administrative positions such as Deputy Controller of Examination, GM University, Coordinator, MWC, Coordinator, OSOU Study Center, Principal and Head of the Department of BRCM SET, Bahal Dean Engineering, CBLU Bhiwani. His biography has been included in the 29th edition of Marquis Who's Who in the World, USA 2011, and 2000 Intellectual of 21st Century. He is a winner of Jawaharlal Nehru Outstanding Doctoral Thesis Award 2012 from Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi, and Young Achiever Award 2013 from Indian Society of Geomatics, Ahmedabad. We are humbled that Dr. Arvind Sharma ji have joined us today. So it's an honor to have you here with.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to say sorry because of some technical reasons. I could not able to join myself or enter myself into this studio. I am sorry for the same. Next, I would like to congratulate Om Sterling Global University for conducting such a wonderful program, which is highlighting the different issue related to the education system in India. And also, I would like to congratulate Dr. Yadav and his entire team for conducting this workshop for last 2 days in a very wonderful way. And though I have given a small opportunity to share my views on some of the important topics, which is always a matter of concern in our higher education system, which is basically the gaps in our skills as well as the curriculum gap, because these two particular things like skills and curriculums are quite interrelated in with each other, and they have to play a very big role in the success of our education system as large, and of course the development of the individual students as well as the society and nation. So in today's this technical session, I would like to share some of my experience as well as what I have learned from reading so many articles in the last 2 or 3 years, because in 2020, the government of India has introduced come up with a new education policy. So, in what way that education policy is going to help us or help these higher education institutes to solidify itself? Because the way we are moving since our independence may not be that much encouraging one. Though we have developed a lot in every field or every sphere of activities, but still this is there is something which is missing in our education systems in terms of research, in terms of employability skill, and so on. My presentations or my deliberations will be centered around all those things. So without losing much of time, because we have already lost around 15 minutes, so I would like to share a few of my experiences with all the audience here, and I will try to finish my presentation within 45 minutes and so, and rest of the time we will have some kind of discussion and so on. So I'm just going to present my slide with you, all of you. I think the slides are being uploaded in the your this system. Yeah. Fine. So, as I have told you that uh, the presentation would be somewhere centered around what is the higher education system and what is the scenario of higher education system in India and what kind of challenges that most of our higher education institutions are facing nowadays. Okay. And what kind of transformation is required in our higher education system that we will going to be discussed in this presentation. Then we will try to find out some of the needed skills, means what are the skills which are actually needed, and that skills now must be incorporated in our curriculum. Okay, and what are those gaps and how that curriculum can help us to fill those skill gap that we will be discussing here. And the need of curriculum change means, because when we are facing certain kind of problems in our education system, then the problem can be resolved through many way. One important way is that we can make certain changes in our curriculum itself. Okay, so there is always a need of updating the curriculum. Then of course, we will try to, find out the way the this National Education Policy 2020 is going to bridge the gap between that skill and curriculum, and we'll try to align those things as per the requirement of the society or as per the requirement of the nations. Okay. Uh, so first of all, let us understand what is the higher education system. So, if we the higher education systems may somewhat different from one country to another country, but in India, we consider this higher education system the tertiary system of educations, and which actually starts after the 12th, or you can say 10 plus 2. Okay, because before entering into the this higher education system, a student must have to spend minimum of 12 years of educations, and after that students can able to enter that higher education system in India. And the purpose of this higher education system is to impart knowledge and to develop the student's ability and also give him or her a wider perspective of the world around, because this is, I think, one of the most important aspect or objective of any education system, because uh, giving knowledge is not going to be enough for a student's holistic development. So the student must be able to understand what is happening in and around him or her, and he must or she must be able to take decisions accordingly, and judicious decision accordingly. So the objective of this higher education at least is to make the students knowledgeable as well as competent enough to take the decisions, a judicious decision as per the requirement, as per the scene or the conditions of its surrounding, as per the problems arises, how to tackle those problems. Such kind of decision making power has to be imparted, and that is one of the most important objective of higher education. And the higher education becomes one of the important role to play when we talk about the national development, if we talk about the economic development of the country, because it is the higher education which produce the manpower which are able to create some innovations or creates certain kind of new technology which will ultimately when materialize will boost the economic sector of the country or industrial sector of the country. So that is why the higher educations have multiple role to play at the same point of time. Okay, so that's why this higher education system is somewhat different from the school education system, and the main reason behind is that the higher education plays a multiple role because it has to impart knowledge, it has to make the students aware about what is happening with surrounding at the national level or the global level, and at the same time it has to make the students competent enough to take decisions, as well as it has to make the students innovative, research oriented, so that can new innovation, new technology can be invented, and that can be scaled to industrial sector, so that the economy of the country can be taken to greater height. So that is why this higher education has a multiple role, and it makes it a distinct place in any education system. And if we talk about the current scenario of our India's higher education system, then you must able to realize that since independence, India has witnessed a manifold increase in its higher education institution. In 1950, we had only 20 universities, but by the end of 2021, we have around 1022 universities. Okay, it may be central university or state university and so on, but you just imagine there is a 50-fold increase in the number of universities since independence. Okay, and this is a big number. Okay, and this number actually make India one of the largest higher education system in the world, and literally it is the third largest in the world. Okay, and the framework on which our entire higher education system of India is based on, that is too complex also. If you see, we have say for example, we have 1022 universities currently operating all over the country, but they are of different nature. They are statutory requirements are something different. Some of the universities are say central university, some of them are state governed university, some are the deemed university, some of them are private university. So there is a vast framework of different kinds of higher education systems are there, and they are importantly they are being governed by some of the centrally uh, uh, framed statutory bodies, maybe in the form of UGC, or say in the form of AICT, MCI, and so on. So things are that when we put all these things together, we have a very large framework of higher education in India, which are too very complex in nature. Okay, and some of the university have a jurisdiction to the some of the small areas, and certain universities are there which has a very big area. I mean, they can take students from some nationally organized entrance test and so on. So students are coming to that particular university from different region, from different diverse background. Some university can able to face students only from the local regions or from the same states only. So this also make that university somewhat different from others in terms of their diversity, and if there's a change in diversity of the students, obviously the requirement will also be changed. Their expectations, their requirement will also be varied. As I told you that we have 1022 universities. Okay, out of those 50 universities are 54 universities are central universities, which are formed by the central government of India and by the Act of Parliament. And we have accordingly around 416 state universities. which are, I mean, have a approval from their respective state government. And besides that, we have around 125 deemed university. Deemed university, a kind of university uh, which is mostly non-affiliating university, means they have a stand-alone kind of university. Okay, and within the this private university is another kind of university, though they may come from the state university category, but they are again a kind of stand-alone university. They cannot affiliate any other institutions under uh, their purview. So that is why we have a very different structures of university, though we call them all university only. Very recently, there is a small change in the nomenclature of deemed university, because somebody says that why they will call themselves a university when they are not having any affiliated college and so on. So somehow they have to be restructured or remodified their nomenclature, deemed to be university, something like this. So you just imagine, so much of complicacy is there. Whether it is deemed university or deemed to be university, what is going to be changed, I do not understand. But yes, people are fighting for the same also, just for the name only, whether it is deemed university or deemed to be university. We have a contradiction is there. So these are the complication that is existing in our Indian higher education system. And at the same time, the Indian constitution also place education as a concurrent responsibility of both center and state government. So means if the what is the state of affair of our higher education system, for that both state government as well as central government will be responsible. If we are having a central university, of course the entire responsibility will be borne by the central government. If it's a state university, okay, still the central government will not take a easy way out from that, because it is the responsibility of the central government only, so as to frame certain regulation and controlling measures, so as to check the standards, or to measure or to map the standards of or the quality of education that is being imparted by the private as well as the state government university. So thing is that in higher education system, both the state government and the central government have to play the role, and they must have to be cooperate with each other so as to achieve the desired goal. And besides that, we have other institutions which are sometimes considered to be a standalone kind of institutions, which and like university with very specific aim or objective. Just to take an example of your Haryana itself, we have a Biswakarma Skill University, which is a state government university, but with a very narrowed perspective or vision, because their objective is to, improve the skill among the already graduated students, or those who have left out their studies in between, like that. So that existing of that Biswakarma Skill University itself again makes certain addition to that complication of the higher education system in India. Okay. If we talk about the certain challenges that our higher education system or our higher education institutions are facing currently, then obviously the most important being the low student enrollment ratio, because you know that the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is less than 25% in India. And though our government is trying its best to improve this ratio and try to bring it to around 40 to 50% by 2030, and that is why we have the new education policy 2020 with us. But thing is that what is the requirement when at the same time we are seeing that so many graduates, postgraduate, and students are there who are not able to get any kind of job opportunity, but still at this ratio only, when the gross enrollment ratio is less than 25, even then there is a problem of unemployment. But if what will happen if we increase that gross enrollment ratio to 40 and 50%, if the problem is going to be increased at a very quick look, one person can say that yes, it is going to be increased, but it is in fact it's not going to be like that. The reason for unemployment is something different, and uh, increasing the this gross enrollment ratio from 25 to 40 or 50% is somewhat different. They have no connection as such. Okay, because we are requiring a large number of human power or manpower to, I mean, boost our economy, or to boost the different sector of our economy, so as to make ourselves a 5 trillion economy very soon. And for that we need a very highly qualified persons or highly educated person who are highly professional and having a skillful, so as to serve the organization, to so as to serve the nation. Okay, but the problem is that whoever coming out from the university as a graduate and postgraduate, whether they are having the required skill or not, that is the biggest problem. As such, there is a huge demand supply gap is there, but the problem is that skill, lack of skill make them unemployment. So this is the one of the biggest problem we are facing in with our higher education institution. Second problem is that inadequate facilities and infrastructure. Though we have so many universities, right, starting from only 20 university in the year 1950 and 1022 right now. So we have a 50 fold, 50 times increment in our university number of university. Though we have established university, but nobody has bothering about what is the standard of that university and what are the infrastructure of that, and what are the different facility. We are running programs but without labs, without teachers. Okay, in many of the university even you will not able to find the required number of even labs or classroom itself, but still they are running program year after year. This is the problem, and it is not the problem of any private or state government, private university. State government university are also facing the same problem. And the third important challenge is the large vacancy in faculty positions. And yes, when a certain kind of mm, uh, statuary visits takes place in private, because before joining here I was also working with a private college. So what I realized that when the university visits or some kind of accreditation agency visit a particular private organization, they used to force them and make them realize that you are running your organization or running your institutions with substandard quality. You do not have faculty members, you have not having sufficient lab facility and so on. But if you go to the any of the state government university, you will find that they are working or they are running their institution even at a very bad conditions, even conditions which is, I mean, far, I mean, inferior than any of the private university or private organizations. But in fact, it is the private organization who have private university who have to face a lot, because they won't have any options when some kind of visits or inspections may take place from any of the government institutions or statutory body. But the problem is, the impact is that the problem is always there, and at all the universities. You go to any of the university, even IITs are facing the crunch of faculty. They uh, you will find so many articles that IITs are not having the required number of faculty members. So the cases are same everywhere. Okay, so this is the biggest problem with any of our higher education institutions. Then outdated teaching methods, because whatever practices we are using to impart the curriculum inside the classroom or inside the lab itself, all the tools and techniques are basically outdated. The way we are teaching, the tool that we are using to teach the students, to teach a certain kind of topics or subject, all those tools and techniques are basically outdated. And after say globalizations in the year 1990, the entire world is changing so fast, and after 2000 the IT sectors, basically IT and electronic sector, have undergo a kind of revolutionary changes. So after that, everything is changing year after year, and within a year itself. Just imagine your mobile phone, and you will able to see that just 5 year back, what was the configuration, normal configuration of a mobile phone, and what is the normal configuration of a mobile phone nowadays, means there is a drastic change in the technology, and this has taken place within a very short span of time. So what we are teaching in our to our students in the classrooms or in the lab, that is completely obsolete one, or outdated, means that has nothing to do with the what is actually going on in the in any of the industry or like that, or in the market, whatever things are required, that is not being taught in the classroom. I do remember that when I had to teach surveying subject at BRCM itself, we used to taught student labeling and so on with the help of instruments like theodolite. But in fact, whenever that student will go to the field for any real world project, nobody is using that instrument, theodolite. Everyone is working with total station and so on. So, and that is one thing, one can say that it is the fault of your college itself, that they are not purchasing the instruments. But it is not like that, because it is a syllabus, it is a curriculum designed by the university. We are affiliating to MD University Rohtak there. So university has framed a curriculum where we have to teach theodolite in practical, though that theodolite is completely obsolete from the industry. It is not being used at all by any of the industry person. But the curriculum is telling us that you have to teach this one only in practical. So that is the situation. So what we are teaching in our classroom and our lab is completely outdated things. So we need to update, and the way we are teaching, still we are using whether this chalk and talk kind of presentation, or whether we are using whiteboards with markers. So the way we are teaching, I mean, have no role to, I mean, play in improving the skill or improving the teaching learning process in the current scenario. And of course, the other problem is the lack of research work. This is, of course, the biggest problem. We all know that we stand nowhere in terms of research. If we talk about, if we compare ourselves with our Chinese counterpart, then we will realize that we are running far behind them. Actually, nowadays Chinese people are, I mean, comes at par with the US. So the way they have improved themselves in last 40, 50 years is, I mean, unimaginable. We have somehow lagged behind them, and we are lagging far away from them actually. So, and if you see talk about the so suppose research works are basically sometimes counted in the form of research publications or number of patents. But again, you will realize that what is happening, we have so many publishers who will call you, who will send you a mail every day that we will publish your paper within 5 days or 6 days or 7 days. So this is the quality of work is somehow deteriorating, though we are publishing the paper, but that paper has no I mean meaning as such, that is not going to contribute anything in terms of knowledge or invention. That okay. Similarly, that is the old thing, that publishing a paper nowadays, another business is going on with patent only. So there is a provision, there are so many patent agents are also there. They will take a huge amount of money and get your patent application published, at least whether granted or not granted, that is another thing. But they will get your patent application published in the patent journal of India. Okay. And people say that yes, I have a one patent. Once that application is published, they say that I have one patent with me. But in fact, that is not a patent. That is just a your that application has been published in their journal, but they have not granted you the patent yet. So this is what a business is also going on regarding the patent also. So such thing actually make us very bad also. Sometimes we feel that to what directions we are moving, because the as per the requirement, promotional requirement or any kind of recruitment requirement, we do have certain kind of publications, we do need a certain kind of patent and so on. And this has led that people who have just looking for money, and they have started their own business in publishing papers and uh, making your patent application published in the journal itself. So a new business have been developed parallelly. So this will kind of misguiding the faculty who are the new faculty, at least those who have not so much of experience, and those who do not have much understanding that such kind of publications will not going to help them either in recruitment or in case either in your promotion and so on. So that research work is very important, that we are far lagging behind other countries. Just compare with our neighbors China itself, we are far lagging behind them. So this is the biggest problem. Next, if we talk about, then we have inappropriate curriculum. As I have told you that what subject matter we have to teach in the classroom, that are two very outdated one. Okay, and that whatever things we are teaching them, that subject or that topic may not be help in any way to the students once they have passed out from that college or university. When they will enter into the job market, or well, that topic or that subject matter will not going to help them in any way. So there is always a need to update our curriculum from time to time with the proper mm, a consultation with the expert people, at least from some of the industries or local or regional industries. People have to be I mean, incorporated in that committee of who are actually responsible for developing the curriculum. Okay. So in this aspect, actually, I would like to tell one of the biggest problem that we are facing also nowadays, currently in our my current university also, that Odisha government has developed a model curriculum, and they forced to implement those curriculum to all the university of Odisha. So when we are enforcing certain kind of curriculum which are being developed by certain people, member of certain committees, and they have seated together and they have framed a model curriculum, and that model curriculum is now being implemented in all the university. So it actually forced me to think that the university, which is a basically autonomous body, so they have somehow snatched their autonomy of designing that curriculum. And second thing is that each and every higher education institution has its own mission and vision, and that vision and mission has to be achieved through the curriculum only. What we are teaching to our students, through that only we are able to achieve our vision and mission. If we are being snatched, being deprived of designing that curriculum, then there is no need to design even our vision and mission. Let the government be decide what is our vision and mission, because we are not having a freedom to design our curriculum. Then how can we talk about the vision and mission? So this is the biggest problem again. And sometimes the problem is that some university may have certain we have state government university, we have central government university. Similarly, within the state government, which is some university may be very older and highly established universities, like Kurukshetra University in Haryana. So if I compare the Kurukshetra University in with that of say Indira Gandhi University in Rewari and so on, then it would not be appropriate. The reason is that Kurukshetra University, very one of the oldest university of India, and why highly established, and the faculty members, the and the labs facility, infrastructure facilities are well established there, and that is to located in a region which are considered to be one of the most developed part of our India. But if we compare with that Indira Gandhi University, which is located in somehow Rewari region, which is southern Haryana, which is considered to be one little bit underdeveloped as compared to northern Haryana. So the requirement, if you see the lifestyle of the northern Haryana people and the lifestyle of the southern Haryana people, somewhat different. It is there. So regional requirement is also different. So if we force them to use the same model curriculum to be taught in Kurukshetra University and in the Indira Gandhi University, that is not a judicious decision by the government. So every university has its own requirement that or you can say certain things to cater to the local and the regional peoples, and according they have to design their curriculum. So forcing a model curriculum too is not a good decision, I will say. Yes, they can suggest a curriculum, and within that curriculum certain amount of freedom have to be assigned, at least 30 to 40% freedom have to be given to the university at least. So this is the biggest problem of inappropriate curriculum in most of the university. Then lack of optimum governance and leadership. If the people who are leading that university or the any autonomous college, they are not visionary people. They are, not that much. Experience in running such a higher educational institute, then definitely uh, they will lead that institution to nowhere only. So whenever we are selecting such a people leadership like vice chancellor and so on, then obviously you have to be very selective in that way. They must the candidate who are applying for the position of VCs or registrar and so on must be a great academicians, and they must have certain minimum criteria of for them. Okay, otherwise what is happening, their lobby system is there. With that lobby, if you are following a lobby system, you can get an entry into any of the institutions as a vice chancellor or as a exam controller of exams and so on. So that also makes the system weak in some way. Okay, so we have to also think in this direction, because they are the leader. They will take the university into a particular directions. If the leaders are not that visionary, then obviously we will not able to take our university, we will not able to take our students to their desired position. And next one, the lack of fund. Okay, lack of fund is a very big problem we have. Whether it's a central university, I do not much have much experience about the central university, but if we talk about the deemed university or the private deemed university, private state university or the state government university, there is always a problem of fund. Okay, and that problem of fund is always creating certain kind of hurdle in the development of that country. So the government have to, or the higher education department, government of India or state government have to develop some kind of corpus so as to provide the necessary funding facility to the institution, whether for the development or creating infrastructures for conducting research work and so on. So sufficient fund must be allocated to each and every university so as to cater their requirements. Uh, Next was the narrow domain. This is another problem. As I have told you, there are certain universities which are having a very narrow domain. Means they are teaching or imparting knowledge in a very small domain of the higher education system. Means, say, for example, as I have given you simple example that Vishwakarma Skill University or say any kind of sports university we do have. We have so many standalone universities are there, and besides that we have maritime university kind of thing is there in South India. I do not remember the exact name, but such kind of university with which are offering very few courses are not a good initiative, because that will not able to create that vibrant environment or the atmosphere in the campus. What is required is that we should have a multidisciplinary university imparting knowledge or imparting programs in various courses starting from science, arts, medical sciences, law. Everything should be there. Okay, that actually creates a vibrant environment or atmosphere that will increase the vision as well as the increase the way a student thinks during its learning time. So I do not prefer or do not, agree with the establishment of some university which are having a very narrow discipline. We should have a university which is having very large variety of courses or program in them. Diversification is always be encouraged in a university campus. Then next is the accreditations. This is again a problem that We have certain accreditation agency in the form of say Bar Council of India, or say NAC, or say NBA, National Board of Accreditations, like this. But thing is that though they are existing and they are too encouraging the different higher education institutions to undergo the process of accreditation, but the because of one or another reason, you will find that only less than 25% of higher education institutions are nowadays affiliated or accredited by any of the agencies. So, and if you talk about university has somewhat better role to play. Suppose around 36% of university are nowadays accredited. But if you talk about the colleges or say autonomous colleges, only 16%, very few only, which is having a valid accreditation at this point of time. And this accreditation is a very important thing that a higher education institute must carried out, because it actually a kind of appraisal of what they are teaching and what they are getting in the form of the output, or how well they are performing as a organization, as a institutions, how well they are performing is a kind of measurement. Okay. And that also uh, build certain kind of confidence among the student that the university in which I am studying, they are have the right practices, and if I join that university, then definitely I will somehow able to get my career in the right direction, or I will be a successful person as a professional person in life, like this. A kind of confidence is being developed among the student also. That's why I always suggest that any of the higher education institution who have been running the courses, whether UG or PG, they must or even PhD, like that, they must have to go for accreditation. So it has got manifold advantage for the university administration also. Uh, so these are some of the important problems that we are facing nowadays. And if we talk about the expectation from our higher education system, then or you can say higher education system will deliver something only through its curriculum. You must have realized the fact that whatever we are expecting from our higher education institution, they will deliver all those things through its curriculum only. And what are the major expectations? The first is that whoever join a particular higher education institution, a student, a learner, must be intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced. This is the first requirement. Uh, if we talk about the other requirement or expectation from the university, there is a global peer. Whoever joined a higher education institute should come out from that institute as a global peer with a certain kind of skills like competitive, resilient, able to communicate, and so on. And third important expectation is that responsible citizen, because we are making our student a learned person. We can able to make our students a global player. But if we are not able to make them a responsible citizen, then certainly our education system is of no use. So it is a great expectation from all the higher education system institutions that they should design a curriculum which actually imparts some kind of nationalism or kind of thing, or at least a respect for their cultures and so many other things which actually characterize their nation, characterize their states, or so on. So such kind of responsible citizen must be coming out from that university. And of course, the last one, the knowledge worker, means we are not running that higher education institution just to make them nationalism or nationalist, or to make them intellectually or emotionally balanced person. What we are requiring from them is that they should be innovative, they should be creative, so that they can able to innovate new technology. They can act as a engine of our economic growth. Okay, so these are some of the requirements or expectation from any of the higher education institutions. And but as I have told you that such kind of expectation can be met out by institution through its curriculum only. So curriculum development of any university or higher education institute must be based on certain things. Say for India, we have national philosophy of education, we have national education policy, Besides that, we have Vision 2040 for our higher education institutions. And beside that, we have certain economic model that we would like to see our country as a second or third largest economy, or say 5 trillion economy uh, by 2022 or 24, like this. And beside that, certain global trend is also going on, so we have to always look into the what kind of trend is going on, and we should make best use of that kind of trend, and so that we'll get benefited the most. And what kind of learning theories are there, and what theories will be implemented in our university and environment in a better way, that we have to think, and accordingly we have to design the curriculum. Okay. These are some of the important you can say ingredient or criteria which must be considered by university, so as to design a curriculum, or so as to deliver the expected results to the society or nation. Need of transformation, as I've told you, that we have certain problems, and we have certain expectation also. So by overcoming those problems, and then subsequently we have to meet out those expectations, what is required is that we need to transform our higher education system. Some survey says that by 2030, India's working population is likely to be increased from 750 million to nearly 1 billion. Okay. Working population they require means we will have to generate more number of employment. Okay. But the problem is, without sufficient education and practical training, this population growth poses high risk, because they will remain unemployed, because though they are in a stage of working population, but they are of not sufficiently skilled. So definitely they will create a problem of in the form of unemployment. So what is needed is that we should go for a transformation in our higher education system. That transformation can be achieved through many different way. For example, change in the structural framework, the way our entire higher education system is working in the country, that need to be revamped. Okay, or restructures, it is required. Otherwise, what we can do is that we can design new curriculum, because whatever curriculum we that we are following in our university may not be sufficient enough to impinge or inculcate certain required skills among those working populations, or among those students who are passing out from different university and colleges. So these are some of the way through which we can able to bring out the transformation in our higher education system. Uh, so, as I have told you, whatever things are being expected from a higher education institution, that can be only and only be achieved through the curriculum only, because we have only one thing in our hand, that we can design certain curriculum, and we will accordingly teach our students, will impart knowledge to those students as per our curriculum, and the students will learn something from our institution, and they will pass out from our institution to contribute either in the job market, or contribute in the entrepreneur, or they will become an entrepreneur, whatever the way they will whatever path they will choose in their professional life. But only thing that we are having in our hand is the curriculum. It is the only the biggest thing that we are having with us is the curriculum. If our curriculum is right, we are able to impart that curriculum in a most effective way, then everything will be resolved, every problem will be resolved. So that is why, if I say that our students are not employable, or the students of a particular university or particular colleges are not employable, it means that we are lacking either in designing the curriculum, or we are not perfect enough to impart that curriculum to our students. Means either it's a problem of curriculum, or we are not delivering the things, or that teaching learning process is not going on effectively. This is the problem. Okay. So that is why, if we are able to identify certain skills, and if that skills are not there in our courses, in our program, then obviously that can be introduced through curriculum only. And if it is there, still our students are not able to inculcate or cultivate those skills in their personal as well as professional life, then obviously there is some problem with the teaching learning process. So that is why we must have to see that skills and curriculum are quite intricately related to each other, and uh, they can able to solve their problems uh, in a complementary way. Okay, so uh, here I have a small report from IBM Institute for Business Value, and according to that report, around 70% of India's venture capitalists said that startups are unable to figure out employee with precise skill set they require. Because this is a very recent report, and this says that because in the last 4 and 5 years, the government of India has, promoted or encouraged a lot of entrepreneurships or development of some new ventures among the young students or as well as the young professionals. And but the problem is that whenever we are opening a new ventures or new say initiatives to open new organization or new companies, what is happening is that those entrepreneurs or those people are not able to get the right candidate to work with them, because we are now working living in an era where we have a so many new technology have come up, whether it's a artificial intelligence, machine learning kind of thing is there. Suppose machine learning is now being used in every sector. Just imagine a sector and it is there, its application is there. So many things are there. So in that case, what is happening is that we need to learn those skills, whether it's a artificial intelligence, whether it's machine learning or internet of things, or whether it's a virtual reality. We must have to learn all those things. If our students are not ready to learn those things, then obviously it is our problem. But the what the report says that people or the those entrepreneurs are not able to get the right people who are having the desired skill to work with them. That's the biggest problem. The entrepreneurs are facing the biggest problem. But otherwise, financially, the government has floated so many schemes to boost entrepreneurship in India. But the problem is the skill. From where that skill will come? Okay, government is helping them financially, but what will happen if there is no worker to work with them in that particular technology? That is the biggest problem. So in another similar survey, 40% of Indian industry professional with contradiction indicate that new employee hired in local labor marketplace required skill set. So another survey also says that only 40% of the hired people are having the desired skill. Otherwise, the remaining 60% they have hired, but they are not, satisfied with those selected people. But somehow to manage, they have hired that remaining 60% of the workforce, but they are actually not having the desired skill. So these are the problem that we have a large skill gap in our country. Accordingly, some of the reports of our AICT is also says that about uh, 70 million more people have to be imparted skill, as the country aims at increasing the percentage of skilled force from 12% to 25%, like this. So here is also we are having a very large supply demand gap of the skilled worker in our India. So my point of saying is that there is a large gap exists between the desired skill people by the our industry, or whatever our industry is designing, our students or our graduates are not having that particular skill. So there is a large demand supply gap is still there. So we have a large scope to improve the skill that we are imparting to our student at college and university. And the main reason for this skill gap is what? The innovative technology are distracting the higher education. So innovative technology mean to say that development of these mobiles and mobile games and so on are distracting the youngster to some extent so that they can focus on right in the right way to in educations or in their study or in learning the new tools and techniques, okay, or acquiring certain skills. So this technology though very useful, but they are not being used in the proper way, and that is distracting our students or distracting our youth from learning that or acquiring those skills which is required by the our job sectors. Then lack of teaching resources. 52% professionals agree with that there is a lack of teaching resources. We do not have the right teaching resources. We have means whatever books we are following, suppose very soft standard books are being followed to teach the students instead of using a very standard books prescribed in the syllabus. We are not following the syllabus or that curriculum, whether we are using some local books so as to teach the students some of the previously solved question paper of some 5 year or 10 year are being also available, and students used to go through that solved question paper prepared solved, that is to solve by some local teachers, not that expert teacher, to just pass the examinations or somehow to get a first division in the examination, because their objective is just pass or just to get his first division. Okay, and they are following such kind of substandard books. They are not going through their syllabus properly, rather they are just following a trend of that just go through the old question paper, 5 or 10 year question paper overnight, and able to get 60 or 70% of marks. So such thing is also deteriorating the scenario. Then affordability to assess the education in India has to be improved. Okay, that is also a reason for skill gap, though wherever we have a good institution also there, but it is not possible for each and every student to afford the cost of those institutions. So affordability is also problem, because you have to learn, suppose I have to learn something in 3D printing technology. Obviously a 3D printer must be there in my college, but if it comes costly, then okay, our college will not going to purchase, and or if it is ready to purchase, even that the file system of the that government departments or the government offices will not allow to or rather discourage the teachers to purchase that kind of instruments. So we are teaching everything but without instruments. We are teaching them theoretically, no practical is going on, suppose such thing is going on. Because if I have to teach practical, I have to need instruments. To purchase instrument, I have to run behind as if it is my personal work, something like this. So it discourages the people or teachers rather. So affordability and accessibility, I will say, okay, these are the major problem which is reason for the skill gap. And dynamic curriculum, because every technology are changing continuously. Every day we will have a new technology with us, so accordingly we have to design our curriculum. The curriculum should be revisited frequently so as to make any necessary changes in that curriculum. Okay, we used to conduct so many board of study meeting, but what happened in board of study meeting is that whatever being prepared by the faculty of that department or that board of study will simply approve it without much discussions or without bothering what is there in it. Okay, so this is happening. Gap analysis, how to conduct the gap analysis. So gap analysis, conducting a gap analysis needs nothing. Just go through what your alumni are doing. That is a gap analysis. Okay, so for any higher education institutions, there is no other important tool just to trace out where your alumni are. If you are able to trace them, then your gap analysis is completed, I will say. Okay, there are certain tools are being developed by the accreditation agency like NAC and NBA. You can able to map those outcome of your education systems. Okay, but that is too theoretically, one can very easily manipulate. The best is way what I feel that what your students are doing, nothing can be substituted. If your students are doing well, it means you are the successful, your organization is successful, and our education system is successful. Otherwise not. Okay, So that is the best way. Otherwise, what we can do is that we can follow the prescribed tools and technique by the NEC and NBA so as to map the outcome of our programs, outcome of our education system. That is okay. That is there. That is well in place. Uh, but what is again needed that once you realize that we are not able to achieve the our required goals, there is large gap is existing, then what is to be done? Because the success of any institutions lies the way it's passing our students are performing. So if it is not satisfactory, then obviously we have to make certain rectifications. We must have to do certain kind of introspection in. Okay, if curriculum is not in our hand, yes, besides that we have certain things we can able to do. We can make a tie up with some local industry to impart certain skill in our students. Okay, curriculum will is a matter of affair of university. College cannot do anything, but yes, college can make a tie up with in local industries or any organizations who are involved in imparting skill among the students. Then we can have a tie up with them, and we let our students to enroll with them and obtain the desired skills. And the role of teacher is to just guide the student, encourage the students to enroll for that courses. Suppose we have to teach certain kind of very advanced courses which is not in our syllabus, no problem. Nowadays we have so many MOOC courses are available from most of the reputed university of the world, or even in IITs. We are having that courses are running, so we can enroll our students there and let them learn from the one of the most learned professor of the that university. And we can make them at least employable, at least though not enough, but still we can be able to do. Means scope is always there with us. We cannot take a excuse that we are being a college, we have no much option left with us to prepare or design so many things. But yes, it is still there. You can tie up with the local industry so as to impart the skills. You can encourage your student to enroll for MOOC courses. Okay, and so many options are still there. uh, Another thing is that we must have to prepare a curriculum which is be definitely practical and job oriented. If we are not able to design a curriculum which is not having a practical aspect in it, and after completing that graduation of 4 year or 3 years or so on, if the student is not able to get a small job even, then certainly it is a problem of the curriculum itself. So we should have to take this responsibility and have to design the curriculum which is which is having at least 50% of practical kind of thing. We should not make more emphasis on theoretical things, because nowadays everything is available in the internet. If I want to get a lecture material for any of the topic, I will make a Google search and I will get lot of lecture material, much better than the teachers in the classroom also. So the teacher should not have to bother a lot about the teaching materials or theoretical aspect. Rather, the teacher's role is to or the university administration role is to prepare the curriculum which is practical oriented, and we must focus more on the practical things. And as well as we have to focus more on the skills is required in the job market, whether it is a communication skill, personality development kind of thing is there. We have to focus over there. And you must be knowing that you must also agree with me that once a student is passing out from university or any of our university, what is happening? Students are not confident at all that what they will do after passing out, because they do not have any idea. Whether forget about idea, they are not confident also what they will do. So they are completely ignorant about what they will do after passing out from that college and university. So such things are there. So what is to be done is that we must incorporate some kind of training or intensive kind of program in our curriculum before leaving or before passing out from that university or college. If the student has certain experience of the real world experience in certain kind of industry or other organization, then he or she will definitely able to realize for what position he is suitable. Though we taught same students, same a batch of students, same syllabus, same courses, but you know that they choose different discipline or different course of professional course path in their life. So my point of saying is that they are not equal. They are not equal at all. So if they got certain kind of opportunity to access themselves by their own in a real world environment, then they can certainly able to, realize that which kind of job is best suited to them. Or obviously they will learn something new, because whatever being taught in the classroom, they have to apply those knowledge in the real world situations. Okay, but how to apply, where to apply, how to behave, how to respond, or how to communicate, they will learn there only. It cannot be taught in your classroom itself. Oh yes, you can conduct certain kind of mock interview kind of things, personality development classes we used to run in our colleges also, but that is only that is only what a a kind of filling gaps kind of things, but that is not going to be fruitful. If we want a really a fruitful results, we must have to uh, introduce this concept of training, summer training or kind of things, or say internship kind of program in our curriculum. Fine. Then we have to grip technology that can be advanced educational understanding and effect. Means this is all about how we are teaching. Okay, curriculum is fine, it is there, but the way we are teaching with our tools and technique, that is not correct. So we must have to grip technology. Suppose during the pandemic, we all have started using this different kind of educational tool to teach the students. So it is just an example, though constraints were there, but still we are able to complete our syllabus, though we do not know to what if degree we are success in that imparting that kind of lecture, but yes, we have done it. At least we are satisfied that we have tried our best and we have adopted a new technology and we have done it. Okay, so that is required, and along that, what is required is strong relationship with the real world industry partners. So educational institute must have to have a close tie-up with the industry, because it is the industry or the different industrial sector which is going to absorb your students. So what that industry is requiring from us, that understanding we should have, so that we can able to either make that correction in our curriculum or in our practical classes, we can able to do so, or what kind of skill they are requiring, accordingly we will impart such kind of started teaching this kind of skill in our classroom itself. So a close tie-up is always be a welcome kind of move for any of the higher education institutions. Okay, this is also a very important way forward. uh, Now, how the curriculum can able to bridge the gap, because curriculum is a very dynamic kind of thing, it's ever changing kind of things. And curriculum is incorporates everything that happens in relation to the educational program, what we are teaching, how we are behaving, how we are communicating, everything is a part of curriculum. So according to International Labor Organization, education, vocational training, and lifelong learning are central pillar of employability, because after all, our main objective is to make our students employable. So this employability is entirely depend on education, what we are imparting, or some kind of vocational training, and the lifelong learning means how to behave, how to communicate, how to respond if a particular situation arises, how to respond to that situation. That thing we will learn in the real world scenario only, real world condition only. So that thing we have to incorporate in our curriculum. And uh, as I have told you that this curriculum development is a kind of continuous and a cyclic process. Okay. Uh, so this is a very simple example of the how a model curriculum can be designed. So it's just, as I've told, it's a cyclic process, and it has different component. That first would be the need analysis, because there is a need. to design a curriculum. Okay. So need can be of different, because in a higher education system we have different stakeholders. We have students, the learners, their requirement, what are their needs. Society is also there, nation is there, industry partners are there. What are their needs? We have to find out the need of our students, our society, our nation, our industry, and accordingly we have to take expert suggestion also. And then we will come to the planning stage where we have to define the what kind of objective we would have, whether it is a cognitive objective, affective, or psychomotor kind of object. Different types of objectives we have to define. So for example, psychomotor objectives are based on some kind of lifelong learning or personal skills. Okay, so to what extent we will give weightage to these psychomotor objectives, that we have to plan. Okay, cognitive means say technical knowledge, technical skill. So to what extent we will give weightage to that cognitive knowledge, that we have to decide how much percentage, how much weightage has to be given. Then we have to design and development. So based on the whatever objective we are defining, that objective must be ultimately produce certain kind of outcome, and that outcome should be achievable. It is not like that we have framed an objective and subsequent outcome which is not achievable. So whatever objective we will define, that should be lead to certain kind of outcome, and that outcome must be achievable and accessible to us. Okay, if I say that I am working in a GM university, the state government university, if we put a objective that we would be one of the most internationally renowned university in the discipline of earth and environmental sciences world. So it's a kind of superfluous statement. We know that, we want to be at that place in at least coming 10 years, because whatever we are defining as our objective or putting as our outcome, that must be achievable. Achievable means we have to decide certain time frame, within 5 years, within 3 years, within 10 years. We have to define the time frame, and then again we have to access to what extent we are able to achieve that objective. Or okay, uh, every year, year after year, we have to assess it. So whatever objectives you are defining, whatever outcome you are expecting out of that objective, that should be achievable and accessible. That is important. Once you have done that exercise, you maybe implement those things as a pilot study kind of thing. Means you can run that kind of program for one school, not in all entire university. Suppose you have designing a new curriculum that we run in faculty of arts or faculty of science, but not in medical sciences, not in law, not in engineering, like that. Once you are uh, this is the example of how you can run the newly designed program in a pilot way. Okay, then obviously we have to curriculum dissemination. Whatever we have designed, we have to disseminate it to the students. We have to impart it, all those knowledge or subject matter to the students. So for that, whatever skill, attitudes or the behavior the student have to be achieved or acquired after the completion of that uh, curriculum should be ensured. Okay, what is it been ensured, then we can implement that newly designed curriculum for other university or other school of the same university, like this. Okay, and the last phase is that evaluation and supervision. Once we are designing something new curriculum, then evaluation of the performance of your students, your teacher, or even your program, your curriculum is also required. Evaluation doesn't mean that the evaluation of student only through end semester examinations. It is not like that. Evaluation means the evaluation of each and every stakeholder, whether it's a student or teacher or our curriculum itself, whether we are design the right thing or not. So we have to evaluate it and supervise it also. If something is wrong there, then again we have to perform the need analysis, and that cycle runs perpetually, so as to obtain the a model curriculum, okay, which will suits to every stakeholder and able to achieve the vision and the mission of our organizations, like this. So This is just an example of AICT initiative, because you all know that in the year 2017, AICT has come up with some model curriculum, and they try to implement that model curriculum all across the India, and most of the university accepted it, and started running that model curriculum in their university also. But the problem is that in 2020 again, that Indian government of India has come up with Department of Education come up with that new education policy 2020. So that AICT has shown its promptness. Though in their model curriculum, they have tried to, address most of the problems that most of the technical or mostly the engineering institutions are facing, but still they give due regard and to the that new education policy 2020, and they try to make certain correction in their model curriculum, which is in align with the new education policy, and they are about to roll out that new model curriculum, which is in align with the new education policy 2020 very soon. As such, everybody knows about this. What is new education policy as such? So, this new education policy was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on 29th July 2020 as such, and it is a comprehensive framework to guide the development of education in the country. And though this education policy is designed or framed with the objective to look after the different level of education, maybe the primary to secondary and every level of education. But yes, it has many things which is been either modified or have been restructured in a very great way, which is of very much important for from higher education point of view, that we will try to discuss here also. uh, but one thing you must take a note that though this new education policy uh, has been framed by the government of India, but and the objective is to I mean uh, to achieve certain goals of our national goals also, like whether we are going to be a 5 trillion economy or not, or if because in the last 70 years after independence, we have been 3 or 4 education policy, but that education policy were somehow not able to achieve what is being expected from them. So that is why this new education policy come into place, and this education policy has also one of the important alignment with the sustainable development goal, which is United Nations sustainable development goal, which has certain objectives to achieve by 2030. So this new education policy is also make an alignment with that sustainable development goal of United Nations also. So obviously the this policy have been designed or framed with a very good objective, but let us to what extent it will able to deliver, because it is not the right time to say to what level it will able to achieve the its framed objective or target. But yes, from what I can say from principally, just by looking at what is being mentioned in that policy, that there are certain things which have been really looks very nice, because they have made certain kind of structural change in the higher education system and so on. So it looks nice, and it is if we are able to implement all those things religiously, then definitely some good results will come out. But thing is that it's a only suggestion. This new education policy is suggestion, is not a legal document that everyone has to follow it. But obviously that when our previous education policy is not able to deliver us, then what is the wrong in accepting the new one? That's the case. So the goal of this new education policy is to produce a very highly engaged, productive, and contributing citizen for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisioned by our constitutions. Means, as I have told you, it has certain visions for our nation. So we are trying to achieve that vision through this new education policy, and building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individual is another objective of this education policy. And third one is to increase the public investment in education sector to reach 6% of gross domestic product at the earliest. Okay. So because public education is a very nowadays a very costlier affair also, and the government alone will not able to achieve the target if I mean public investment will not come in education in particular, or in higher education in general. So the role of the private education institution is also being acknowledged here. Rather acknowledged, they have met acknowledged that they have also contributed a lot in the educational sector of India. And obviously to achieve the 100% gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level by 2030. So that is not a matter of discussion here, but what we are requiring is that we should increase our gross enrollment ratio in higher education to around 40% and so on. That is our target. And 40 or maybe 50%. The 50% is also a very distance achievement as it appears now. But let us see how far we can able to achieve it. So national education policies also contributed many things in terms of pedagogy, in terms of research, and so many things. But since we are running out of time, I think we have already crossed the limit. We are supposed to complete our this discussion by 3:30, but it is now, sorry, 3 o'clock. Now it is 3:30. So half an hour we have already overrun this program. So I would like to focus on four or five important slides, which is related to only the skill and curriculum. Though NEP has many things to deliver in terms of pedagogy, learning resources, holistic approach, and like judicious use of technology. Of course, skill is there. So this new education policy has basically emphasized a lot in making the education system skill based and competency based, and they have tried to incorporate the vocational training and each and every level of education as it is being prescribed by the national skill qualification framework is there. And based on that NSQF, that new NEP has tried to implement the various skill developing vocational courses at each and every level of educations. Okay. And if you talk about the curriculum, then okay, obviously the new education policy is looking at providing the flexible flexible curriculum, which are offering, I mean, students a lot of flexibility in choosing what subject they are being taught, or they are being able to learn. So such kind of flexibility is though there in the form of choice-based credit system, but now they have again make it more flexible so that student can able to choose what actually they want to learn, and what they actually learn from the university or college. So that flexibility, the magnitude of flexibility has been increased in this new education policy. And moreover, once flexibility is given, means there will be more multi or transdisciplinary subjects will be taught in the university, and the student can able to enroll themselves for different subjects from different disciplines also. So they will have a diverse experience and knowledge, and once they will come out from that university, then they can able to serve the nations accordingly. And this NEP new education policy ensure that the curriculum is being implemented in classrooms in newer and more engaged in teaching. So, as I have told you earlier, that instead of teaching the some of the theoretical aspect which is already, I mean, known, or on which the enough of materials are available. So, what we can do is that we can provide that material to the students, and let them ask few questions in the actual classroom. So we can provide them all those material beforehand, so that they can go through that material and come with their doubts, and questions in the classroom. So classroom will be not a one way kind of commission, whether it's a place to discuss the problems or discuss the queries that they have in their mind. So it is the classroom will be more engaging, so we can think of blended teaching kind of concept, and such kind of pedagogy blended classroom concept can be more emphasized during this NEP. Okay, and another important thing is that, as I have told you at the very beginning, that what the biggest problem we are facing, that affordability and accessibility of higher education, because of so much diverse and such a large country we have one of the biggest problem of this also, because not all of our students are access to this different technology or different learning materials, as well as affordability. So accessibility and affordability of learning is quite varied from one place to other place, one individual to another individual. So this new education policy actually aims at making the curriculum in such a way that it will be effective, as well as accessible as well as affordable to each and every students of our country. Uh, so just some of the important things that new education policy is trying to introduce, like degree program should be holistic, multidisciplinary, and of high quality. Flexibility in curriculum, we have already discussed. Rigorous specialization. Okay, means the student won't have to study the varied subject, rather they have to go through a curriculum which is highly specialized. Mean they will become an expert in that area or in that technology, like this. And obviously the pedagogy, as I have told you, that we have to use some of the modern technologies, like the blended classroom concept we can use to improve the pedagogy. Okay, so these are the things. And obviously one of the most important thing that is being introduced in new education policy, and that is true for higher education system, is the inclusion of credit from open digital learning. Because nowadays we have so many MOOC courses are there. So this new education policy is emphasizing more that you should develop a curriculum where that whatever students are learning from their MOOC courses, that should be get credited in your university. Okay, and they can even change. They have a develop a credit bank also. Means if a student has to move from one university to other university, the same credit can be transferred to other universities. Such kind of flexibility have been introduced along with this inclusion of credit from open digital learning also. Obviously we have already discussed about the intensive and research and vocational education also, that the government has tried to align with NSQF framework so as to impart vocational training in each and every level of education, that we have already discussed. And need of student assessment, as I have told you, that if we are designing a new curriculum, then certainly we have to also think of a new way to make assessment, that one that end semester examination alone, that kind of assessment pattern assessment tools will not be enough to assess our student, because the way or the environment in which our students are growing, the environment they are experiencing in that situation, we need to develop a 360-degree assessment of our students. Only that kind of assessment will not be sufficient, because as I have seen here, that I am facing certain kind of difficulty in getting into that your this online this delivery on this studio. But the problem is it can be resolved by one of my fellow staff who is not a teacher here. He helped me to get into your studio. So this is how, means this is also a kind, because he's very young, he's very much tech savvy, so they can able to do so. So our students are like that only. The way we have been assessed in last 20 years or 20 years back and so on cannot be used to assess our students, because the current batch of students are somewhat entirely different from us. So we have to think some other way of assessment of our student, then only our curriculum can be finalized, otherwise not. consolidation of the structure of our higher education system. As I have told you that we have so many institutions, so many varieties are there. Okay, in that situation, the government of India has also tried to restructure it, because every higher education institution has to go through accreditation. That is mandatory kind of thing. Once they will accredited, they can able to issue their own certificate also. Again, all the government university will be categorized into two types of university, like teaching oriented university or research oriented universities. So it is again a restructuring of our entire higher education system, and this is a good initiative, I will say. And if it is being implemented full heartedly or religiously, then definitely it will deliver good output also. Okay. This is how the change have been made in the different types of UG PG programs. Everybody know it, so there is nothing much to discuss over here. Again, the requirements, so it's okay. So the closing thoughts will be that we our education higher education system needs a transformation, and that transformation can be achieved through the curriculum only. And the curriculum should be designed in such a way that it can able to impart the necessary skills or necessary knowledge to our students, which is required by the industry or required by the job market. That is important to us. And uh, institution have to make partnership or make a close tie with the nearby industries, so as to make their students more skillful also. Because sometimes whatever facilities we are having in our university, that is other thing, but we cannot provide them the real world environment. So that actual environment that actually teaches the students something else other than the subject matter, that cannot be imparted in our classroom. So we need to have industries or other organization for a summer training kind of thing or internship kind of thing, so as to make them more skillful and make them aware about their strength and weakness, so that they can accordingly mold themselves and make them ready, prepare themselves for accordingly. Okay, so these are the some of the important thing. And lastly, that our national education policy 2020 actually focusing in improving the skill through vocational education and training at each level of education, as I have told you. And it is offering some flexible way to design the curriculum and to make assessment of our performance of our student, as well as our system. That is a good thing. And once it is being implemented, we will definitely expect for a good result. So this is my closing thoughts. With this, I would like to conclude my deliberations here, and it is now open for any kind of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for enriching us with your
Thank you.
perception towards the higher education scenario, overcoming the challenges of inappropriate curriculum and gap analysis with skill. How you enlightened us about the expectation from higher education and curriculum, the elucidated ideas, related employment and skills with limited curriculum in our country were truly worth listening. Thanks from whole university fraternity. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Sir, now we can end the session.
Oh.